Hi, welcome back to my channel. In this book review, it is for Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, Taylor Jenkins Reid got my attention with Malibu Rising last year, and there's two other books that I've been wanting to read by her, and they are Daisy Jones and the Six and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Haven't had time to read them, but they're in my TBR. So when I saw this book, Carrie Soto is Back, it came up in two ways for me. Number one, it came up on NetGalley as an electronic ARC that I could read on my Kindle, but it also came up in my Hachette audiobook ARC, a program that I'm a part of, and I was able to get this as an audiobook ARC. And that's the exciting thing that I'm going to share with you right now. So we're going to talk about the book itself, but we're also going to talk about the audiobook aspect of the book. Now, bear with me, because I'm about to tell you who the narrators are. A full cast. Yes, a full cast. And they are Stacey Gonzalez, Mary Carrillo, Patrick McEnroe, Rob Similcar, Brendan Wayne, Max Myers, Ronaldo Pinella, Vidish Athavale, Tom Bromhead, Heath Miller, Julia Whelan, and Sarah Arrington. 10 hours and 30 minutes, and it comes out on the 30th, which is when you'll see this video. Yes, 12 narrators. And let me tell you, there was even a little bit of sound effects during, the book is about a tennis player. So when certain tennis events would come up, there would be some sound effects on the book to announce the tennis events. Not a lot, I think maybe two or even only three times in the book, in the audiobook. Now, with the full cast, we get this story being told of a young girl who grew up watching her father on the tennis court. And she literally watched her dad. And that's all she knew was tennis. Her mother was very supportive. Her father was very supportive. But sadly, she lost her mother at a young age. Her father continued to play tennis until he couldn't play any longer. But then he turned his tennis skills over to her. Her name is Carrie Soto, and she, either through her training from her father or through her competitive spirit, was fierce and determined to win at any cost. It didn't make her popular. She was called the B word, okay? And that was because she was going to win. She wasn't one of those tennis players, and I hate to throw a name out there, like if you thought of John McEnroe in the days of when we would see him on, say, CBS or whatever, playing, and he would get mad and he'd have temper tantrums and throw his racket. No, I didn't see that side of her. But what we did see was her strong determination to win no matter what. Now, obviously she started off at a young age, but by the time she was a teenager, she was winning everywhere, every tennis event. Now, if you don't like tennis, you may not like this book, but never fear, because it's a story. It's a story of a young woman who played tennis until she couldn't play tennis anymore due to a knee injury. But the title of the book is Carrie Soto is Back. Why is she back? Because what I didn't know, because, I know with any sport, basketball, golf, football, baseball, and now I've learned with tennis, but I know with any sport, you age out of the sport because our bodies can only take so much injury and pain. So she was aging out, and she had aged out. Now, I wanted to bring up this book on my Kindle because this book was told in parts on the audiobook, but I did not follow along on my Kindle. But I did want to quickly check the table of contents, and I hope sometimes with advanced reader copies we don't get them, but we do. Okay. Now, this book is broken up from 1955 to 1965, and then it breaks up into different years, 1971 through 75, 1975 through 1976. Jumping ahead to 1979, and then 1979 through 1982, 1983 to 1989. Then, this is why I thought I would talk to you about the table of contents. Then we jumped ahead to 1984. Remember I just said 1989? Well, in 1984, she had a comeback, okay? And she played tennis again. I won't tell you how old she was, but you can kind of do a little bit of quick math with all those dates that I just threw at you. So, again, I did not use my Kindle when I was reading this book. I simply listened to the audiobook, but I love that there is a very detailed table of my Kindle orientation. Let's lock the orientation, because I think this is a very worthy read, and it's worth it for me to show you this. The table of content is very detailed. It talks about the Australian Open, just different I'm blanking out on tennis events, but it broke, the table contents breaks all that down. I think that's worthy to note if you want to follow the story. So it's called, as mentioned, Carrie Soto is back. So your first part of the book talks about her being an unbeatable tennis player in her youth. And then there was a reason that she stopped playing, because like I said, in just about any sport, your body just can only take so much. But she came back, and that's where the title plays in, and that was in 1984. So she comes back. Well, I said I wasn't going to tell you her age, but I'm gonna. She came back at 37 years of age. She came out of retirement. Remember Michael Jordan in retirement, out of retirement, changing sport, going back into basketball? Well, she came back at 37 years, 6 years after her retirement. Okay? I don't think that's a spoiler, because we're just going to focus on the title again. Carrie Soto is back. Now, this was an amazing story. Definitely going to get 5 stars. And I want to tell you my take on this, okay? First of all, I am a sports lover who does not have time for sports, because I am also somebody who, if I'm going to watch a sports event on television, I'm going to watch that event. And if I'm going to watch that event, I'm not going to read. And I just have to read all the time. And if I'm doing an audiobook, I can diamond paint, I can cross stitch, I can do my jigsaw puzzles. So I don't watch sports anymore. But when I was younger, I loved tennis. I only played it a little bit, but I loved it to the point of even watching matches on television, which is why I'm familiar with, like, say, John McEnroe or Billie Jean King, for example, okay? Now, you're going to get a lot of tennis lingo in this book, okay? And it even tells you how the scoring system works, how, like, the tennis open or the US Open, or just different, I should have written down some of these tennis matches, but I didn't. But anyway, it's heavy with that, but it's a personable story because it talks about Carrie and what she went through. And what is more is her relationship with her father. And that was really pivotal because of the intensity in how he coached her, because obviously he was her coach, but how his coaching her affected their relationship, and also how her view of winning at any cost affected their relationship. Meanwhile, I always felt, as I was listening to this book, which I did in pretty much 2 sittings, as I listened to this book, I sensed that Carrie was a lonely person because her whole world was tennis. So everybody she was around were pretty much opponents. Like, a tennis event could go on for 2 or 3 weeks. And say if there were, say, 15 matches, I don't know how many matches are in a tennis event, but let's say there were 15 matches, and that would be 15 opponents. She couldn't be these people's friends because they were her opponents. So I always felt a sense, the connection I felt with her was concern for whether or not she was lonely. And then you have to wonder about her romantic entanglements. And so that comes out in this book as well. Very, very good book. I haven't looked at any other reviews. I don't have any notes, so I don't know how anybody else feels about it or has felt about it or what I will do this though. The average rating on Goodreads with 2,178 reviews when this book is not even out yet is 4.44. If I click rating details, 58% of readers gave it 5 stars. 30% of readers gave it 4 stars. That means 88% of readers of this book were head over heels in love with it. That's as far as I've gone on Goodreads. I haven't scrolled down to any reviews because I can't. It's just an ethical thing with me until I actually audibly tell you about the book and physically type up my review, and then I'll look at other people's thoughts. So everything you're getting with me is raw and organic. But that is Carrie Soto is Back. If you like Taylor Jenkins Reid and you like a good character-driven story, and you see where and I love the way it ended. I do. I can't tell you how it ended, but I do love the way it ended. And I loved it from beginning to end. I remember I thought I was going to say I read it in one sitting, but yeah, I think I used my sleep timer and I fell back to sleep about, say, 2 a.m. and then I picked up on it about 6 or 7 a.m. So other than my sleep timer shutting it off, once I woke up, I listened to the rest of it, and I just sat right here in this chair, and that's what I did. And remember, a full cast. Now, you will have trouble getting this at your library because I'm sure the wait list is going to be miles long, but you can get it on Audible or Google Play or obviously Amazon. There's also audiobooks.com, probably maybe Scribd. So look for this book. That's my advice for a super long review if I match up both parts of these videos. So thank you for watching. Bye-bye.